we are in the fifth chapter of network functions, and I am trying to use this chapter in order to explain some things in more details, because we had discussed in detail also, in more details, especially S variable analysis, so as to have better understanding of the module, which is otherwise complex one, highly mathematical one. So the network is consisting of the passive components R, L and C, and also it may contain some dependent sources which are considered to be comprised of or made up of active components using transistors or op-amps. We are not interested at this point of time in finding out how exactly that can be arranged. Means we have gone through the concept of dependent source, but we have not designed that. So we are aware that this by this we find that there is some arrangement which acts as a current source with its value depending upon some other voltage or some other current in the circuit. And this we are aware of a dependent voltage source whose value depends upon or is proportionate to some other voltage or current in the circuit. So whenever we consider a linear network, whenever we consider the network function concept, the network may consist of passive components and dependent sources. If it doesn't contain any dependent source, then it is called as passive network, which is always stable. And if it contains a dependent source, then it is called as active network, which may or may not be stable. All these analysis is to be carried out depending upon the different functions which we find out. Those are driving point functions and transfer functions. So when we look at the network, we will be restricted to one port network and two port network. So an electrical network is there which we are analyzing. When we look at Z parameter and when we look at Z11, in that case two port network can be taken as one port, single port network, because we are not making any change at other port. But that is not the case with what we can say Y parameter. For that we have to short it. We have to connect something else. If we don't connect, then it is as it is. Therefore, all these driving point functions, and when we take something like transfer function, that is output upon input, VOS upon V in S. VOS upon V in S is called as transfer function, right? V1S, or in that case we can say V2S, port 1, 1 dash, 2, 2 dash. So V2S upon V1S is transfer function. V1S upon I1S is driving point function. So we take very simple case and we elaborate the concepts further. This is very simple network we have considered. This is very simple network we have considered, and we will define this is port 1 1 dash 2 and so we will not go for detailed analysis as given in the syllabus. We will try to acquaint ourselves. We will get well conversant with the themes. So we define one transfer function, one network function as Z11S. Z11S, which is equal to V1S upon I1S. Either way you can treat like this. So connect some voltage Vt, V1t, find I1t, find Laplace transform of V1t and I1t and take the ratio. That is way one with which we can analyze. Or Z11S can also be considered to be the impedance seen at port 1. Impedance seen at port 1 for which the voltage applied is of the type e raised to st. The concept of impedance is defined for which kinds of voltage and currents? Sinusoidal and exponential. Why sinusoidal and exponential? They? Okay. So these are the answers in right direction. But can you give one single convincing answer which will not give rise to any further question? The concept of impedance is ratio of voltage and current. For resistor, question doesn't arise. But for inductor and capacitor, since the dependability or relationship is between one and differential of the other, the problem is the problem? Unless we get the idea of voltage and current of similar form so that we can compare them, we can't go for the concept of impedance. Then, for those kinds of signals for whom the differential and integral we need not consider because it is reverse of differential. For those kinds of signals for which differential operator becomes a scaling operator, it is possible to define impedance. It is possible to define impedance only for those class of signals for which differential operator becomes a scaling operator, and those class are two: sinusoidal, for which d by dt is j omega, and exponential, for which d by dt is s or a, if it is e raised to at, and e raised to st includes sinusoid as well as exponential in a special form. Actually, it is e raised to st plus e raised to s star t upon 2, because e raised to st is two-dimensional, which is not a voltage signal. But we presume that such a voltage signal can be there and proceed further. It's a hypothetical derivation. But since we know that e raised to st is two-dimensional, e raised to s star t, what is s star? If s is sigma plus j omega, then s star is sigma minus j omega. So t raised to st is two-dimensional, e raised to s star t is two-dimensional, but their addition is one-dimensional. Right? So it is e raised to sigma t cos omega t. E raised to st plus e raised to s star t upon 2 is e raised to at or e raised to sigma t cos omega t, which is one-dimensional, completely realizable. Therefore, e raised to st is a codified description of a very generic class of signal which is two-dimensional, which takes all care and makes the calculations, derivations simple. But it cannot be a voltage signal. Then a voltage signal can be considered to be a summation of two It is very peculiar situation wherein summation of two hypothetical things is real one. Because of it is two-dimensional voltage cannot be there. But the two-dimensional voltages e raised to st and e raised to a star t, or if sigma is 0, then e raised to j omega t and e raised to minus j omega t are such that their addition automatically cancels one dimension and we remain with only one dimension. Therefore, one-dimensional actual voltage can be, I am avoiding the words real and imaginary. One-dimensional actual voltage can be considered to be summation of two-dimensional hypothetical voltages such that the other dimension is automatically cancelled by their summation. Therefore, we, with all this idea in mind, decide to use e raised to st for voltage signal, even though such voltage cannot be possible. Just we use it because it's a good tool in mathematical exercise. So, with well and complete knowledge of what we are doing, we do something which is not actual. So, if the signal is of the type e raised to st, in that case, it is possible that impedance can be defined for all three components R, L and C. For R it is R, for L it is Ls, for C it is 1 upon Cs. And once that is there, then by using normal Kirchhoff's laws, your normal laws of impedances in parallel, impedances in series, you can solve any problem. And then Z11 becomes, since port 2 is open here, Z11 is 2. Z11 has become too simple, we will make it complex. Now what is Z11? S plus 1. Z11 is S plus 1. Z11 S, because it's a function of S now. Z11 is S plus 1. And now I define another function. This is considered driving point function because it is only one port. Ratio of voltage and current there, or impedance between the single port. And now we can define what is called the transfer function, which is very much important. That is H of S or G of S. H of S is V2S upon V1S. V2S upon V1S. V1S means you may connect one input, get what output is, find Laplace transform of input, find Laplace transform of output and get the ratio. That is one idea. Or the idea is, what is the idea? You just go by presuming the impedances as R, Ls and 1 upon Cs, and by simple Ohm's law, Kirchhoff's laws, you find out the ratio of voltages. We don't call S or V2 upon V1 in terms of impedances in S domain. Or connect some input which is of the type e raised to st, get the output and get the ratio directly. So we have a simple situation. If I apply e raised to st here, what will be the output? We calculate. V1, I say V1t. I cannot connect, but I say I have connected. Means with full knowledge that I cannot connect e raised to st, when I say I am connecting e raised to st, it is that I am using it as a tool. So if V1t is e raised to st, what would be V2t now? How will you calculate? What will be V2t? What would be V2t? we proceed further. So we want, it is now, this is called as transfer function. It is GS. It is called as transfer function GS. It is the ratio of Laplace transforms of the voltage signals or ratio of V2 upon V1 when impedances are put in S, or ratio of V2T upon V1T if input is of the type e raised to st. So how we can get V2T? We can use Kirchhoff's laws and find out how it would be possible for us. What is V2T now? Calculate V2T. Let us see how effectively you can do. Then we may go for S-wave analysis, stability, and all these things. Calculate V2T. How will you do that? So anyway, I found the answer, and accidentally the answer is matching 1 upon s plus 1. Okay. Those who find that this is comfortable, they may continue for this. There is some, it's not problem, but what we can say, it has got a peculiar arrangement which may create some confusion, and student, it is so simple, the problem is so simple, but being asked in a situation where something S is going on, L is put, C is put, means in a complex environment, it is difficult to believe that the answer can be so simple. In a complex world, now the problem is, now what has happened? There is an atmosphere of doubt everywhere. Therefore, suppose if you come across some individual who is behaving, to whom you don't know or very little know, and he is behaving very much nicely with you, then what first impression is created? That there must be some hidden intention. Otherwise, he will not behave so good with me, because I don't behave so with others. Right? So, when there is a very simple answer, you will not believe that answer can be so simple. When there is a problem like this, the problem must be complex, and you may overlook the simplicity in it. Therefore, I am giving a problem which you consider is a problem. Now calculate what is V2T and then take ratio. linear equation. So how we can write? We will do it by both means and ensure that the answer is same, which will convince ourselves. So how we go by differential one is V1t, right? So then there will be two branches. This we can say will be I1t. This we can say I2t, correct? This we can say I2t. Now V2t is available here. It is not connected anywhere. So since port 2 is open, there is not any current flow. The major theme is no current flow. So this would be I2t. This would be I2t. And V2t is available. It is not a source. This is we are connecting. So we can read on the model. We have connected a voltage source V1t and we are observing the result. With the voltmeter we can say we are just checking what is voltage here. So now I2t, I1t. Sorry, I1t. So now how can we proceed? V1t is e raised to st. V1t is e raised to st now. So when we are having of the form e raised to st, when we are having some differentials, then we are trying to avoid integration. It is not that we are allergic about it, but we will not waste our time in understanding that. At a leisure time you can go for that. Therefore everything in the entire circuit, whenever I am having something like e raised to st, then every voltage and current is of the form a e raised to st, where a is some value which may be some constant which may include s plus 1. Are you getting me? Because derivative and integration both are derivative. D by dt is scaling by s, integration scaling by 1 upon s. Everything means every voltage across any 2 points and current through any branch will be of the nature a e raised to st type. Means, and depending upon different, you can say a1, a2, a3 like that, where these are constants which may be real values or in terms of s. So we can say I1t must, this I can also apply a raised to st, but I am putting a equal to 1 here because it is I am choosing, I have freedom. So I1t is a1 e raised to t, I2t must also be a2 e raised to st. I1t is a1 e raised to st, I2t is a2 e raised to st. With this now, can you calculate V2t? By using Kirchhoff's law and all these things. So calculate V2 directly. then V2T also you can assume, or there is no need because V2T would be I1T itself. Why? Because it is I1T into R2. So now, how can we proceed? How will we find I1T? How will we find I1T? I2T? How can we proceed further? First, what is I2T? What is I2T? Can you find I2T? Can you find I2T? I2T is flowing to an inductor of 1. It is completely connected across the voltage source e raised to st. So what is voltage across inductor? L di by dt. L di by dt. What is di by dt? Since differential is S. So what is I1T? I1T is equal to A1 e raised to st. Therefore, what must be voltage across inductor? VLT we can consider. L, what is L? L is 1. L is 1, right? So, S A1 e raised to st, correct? S E1 e raised to st. But what is that? That is e raised to st itself because it is voltage across inductor. What? What is it? Then what is A2?
1 by S.
What is A2?
1 by S.
Why? Because this must be equal to V1. That is equal to e raised to st. That means SA2 equal to 1. Now next what? Next what? Where to find I1T? Where to find I1T? Right? So use Kirchhoff's law for this loop. So this was not needed actually. We found it just to give some practice to you. A2 was found to give a practice to you because it does not have any relationship in getting A1. Now have Kirchhoff's law for this loop. What it must be? V1T is equal to voltage
I1T upon S. I1T upon S.
Now, okay, I will not give any hint. Let me see how you can write the equation across this capacitor and inductor loop, capacitor resistor loop. Problem comes because why problem comes? Integral comes. It comes or not? That way it may come, that way you may avoid. How? Only consider this. What is this? V2T. So what is V1T minus V2T? Is voltage across capacitor. What is V2T? What is V2T? A1 e raised to st itself. So what is V1T minus V2T?
VCT.
1 minus A1 e raised to st. It is what?
VCT.
Voltage across
Capacitor.
capacitor. So what is the current? its differential, because C is 1. What is differential? S 1 minus A1 e raised to ST. And what this must be equal to? The current. What is that? A1 e raised to ST. No, it is out of question. We have just given as a practice for you. Means what? S into 1 minus A1 is equal to A1. So what is A1 now? Then find A1. What is A1? It is S minus SA1 is equal to A1. So S is equal to S plus 1 into A1. So A1 is S upon S plus 1. So when A1 is S upon S plus 1, what is V2T? S upon S plus 1 into E raised to ST. So what is V2T upon V1T? S upon S plus 1. S upon S plus 1. Actually, this is redundant. This doesn't come into picture because V1T here is V1T here also. So this is completely uncorrelated. Now next. Find HS. That is the voltage gain, voltage transfer ratio. So here you may find it by any means, by using potential divider ratio arrangement or whatever. One dash, two dash.
कितना का ये सब हाँ कितना का ये क्या है बेटा पॉज कर
It's a dependent voltage source. This voltage, that is Vx, or those who don't understand, it is 0.5 into VAB also, no problem. This sine wave is from this to this we have to measure, and the voltage generated by this is proportional in this direction. Means if this is 1 volt right now, then this would be 0.5 volt more than this point. It is not constant, it is a variable. It depends upon what you connect here. For this now, you can compute H of S.
V1 is घ्यायचं तिथं. V1 काय घ्यायचं? अरे V1 is V2 is असं घ्यायचं का ते हे असतं ना H of S असतं V2 is upon V1 is.
So the transfer functions Hs in S domain, what do they provide? They provide us the collective information of gain of the system. Gain of the system by a single, what we can say, function. H of S, it's a function of S. Hs is the single function which is gain of the system if we applied the input of the form e raised to st. If we apply input of the form e raised to st. Or if we apply any input, the output what we will be getting will be such. If we apply v in t, I get v2t, or if I apply v1t, I get v2t, such that ratio of Laplace transforms of them is h of s. Both way it is same. I am trying to put forward alternative theories, hoping that everybody will understand at least one. So, what is between these 2 points? What I see? Inductance of 1, resistance of 1, capacitance of 1. So, this is 1 upon s, this is s. So, 1 plus 1 upon s parallel with s. Right? 1 plus 1 upon s parallel with s. So, this I can consider as Z3 between these 2 points, just Z3. What is Z3? Z3 is 1 plus 1 upon s parallel with s. Then what is V3t? V3t is Z3 upon Z3 upon Z3 plus 1 into V1t. Right? Then what is V2t? It's simple. V2t is 1 upon s into 1 plus 1 upon s. 1 upon s upon 1 plus 1 upon s into that is V2t is equal to 1 upon s upon 1 plus 1 upon s into Z3 upon 1 plus Z3 will be right into V1s. So V1t. So V2t upon V1t is this. 1 upon s, 1 plus 1 upon s, Z3 upon 1 plus Z3. That is multiplied by s here. So it is 1 upon s plus 1. What is Z3 now? What is Z3? 1 plus 1 upon s, 1 plus 1 upon s parallel with this. This into this upon this plus this. So that is 1 plus 1 upon s into s upon 1 plus 1 upon s plus s. What is this? S plus 1 upon s plus 1 plus 1 upon s. Multiplying by s. What we get? S into s plus 1 upon s square plus s plus 1 is Z3. So this is s into s plus 1 upon s square plus s plus 1 upon 1 plus s into s plus 1 upon s square plus s plus 1. Our intelligence lies in interpreting s. Rest of the thing is high school algebra. So now what we get?
S upon S
Straight away,
plus S plus
by this you multiply here, then this gets cancelled. So 1 upon s plus 1 into here s plus this upon s square plus s plus 1 plus s square plus s. So this gets cancelled. So s upon s square and s square 2s square plus s and s plus 2s is it right? And now for this, you may construct any kind of this active network now because we have a dependent source. Then you may construct any active network and give it to your friend for finding out transfer function and vice versa. Is it clear? We will be engaging to